Hey guys, welcome back. This is module 2 of the SAT practice number 8. Let's go ahead and get started. What is the y-intercept of the line graph? Just a reminder, the y-intercept is where the graph crosses our y-axis. So we are going to have here 0, 5. For a certain region, the table shows the average number of store employees in 2016 by type of store. Based on the table, how much greater was the average number of store employees in warehouse stores than in supermarkets? So what we're looking at is warehouse stores and supermarkets. So 365 minus 130, that's going to be 235. The answer is C. Number 3, in the figure, line M is parallel to line N and line T intersects both lines. So what is the value of T? This is a parallel line with a transversal going through it. So we are going to be looking at the relationship between this side and this side. Now, these are actually going to be supplementary, and I'll show you why. If we were to take this angle here and we were to move it right here, you would see that it's the same. That's going to be 33 degrees. Now, these two lines, these two angles right here are a part of a line, which is called a linear pair. So that's why they're supplementary. So what we can do is do 180 minus 33, and that answer is going to be D, 147. Sean rents a tent at a cost of $11 per day plus a one-time insurance fee of $10. Which equation represents the total cost C in dollars to rent the tent with insurance for D days? $11 per day indicates that 11 is going to be multiplied by a variable, and a one-time fee of 10 indicates that it is going to only be added once. That means that the answer here is C. For the right triangle shown, A equals 4, B is 5, in which expression represents the value of C? In this case, we can do Pythagorean theorem. So 4 squared plus 5 squared equals C squared. So when we take the square root of both sides, it's going to be option D. The function g is defined by g of x equals 6x, and for what value of x is g of x equal to 54? So what this is asking us to do is replace g of x with 54 and solve. So 54 equals 6x, so x is 9. The function f is defined by f of x equals 8x cubed plus 4, so what is the value of f of 2? In this case, unlike number 6, it's asking us to actually input 2 everywhere that there is an x here. So we are going to follow the order of operations and do 8 times 2 cubed plus 4. 2 cubed is 8. So we have 8 times 8, which is 64, plus 4 is 68. The function f is defined by f of x equals 1/10 x minus 2. What is the y-intercept of the graph in the xy plane? As mentioned before, the y-intercept is here, -2, and it is always going to have a 0 for the x value when it's a y-intercept, so the answer is B. A producer is creating a video with a length of 70 minutes. The video will consist of segments that are 1 minute long and segments that are 3 minutes long. Which equation represents the situation where x represents the number of 1-minute segments and y represents the number of 3-minute segments? So we can just write our equation. We have 1 minute long segments and 3 minute long segments, and x is the 1 minute and y is the 3 minutes. So we're going to have 1x plus 3y, and that's going to equal a total of 70. So our answer is D. The function f is defined by f of x equals 7x cubed. In the xy plane, the graph of y equals g of x is the result of shifting the graph down 2 units. Which equation defines function g? Here, since we have a vertical translation and we're going down, we're going to have the result here subtracted by 2. So the answer is D. The solution to the given system of equations is x, y. What is the value of x? Here, since y equals -3x, we can substitute that value here to get 4x plus -3x equals 15. So x is 15. You can also solve this in Desmos, but this is faster. In the right triangle shown, what is the value of sine of A? Sine is also known as opposite over hypotenuse. So it's going to be 35 over 171. The answer is B. What is the area in square centimeters of a rectangle with length 34 and a width of 29? Area of a rectangle is length times width, so we're simply going to multiply 34 times 29. And that answer is going to be 986. If x over y equals 4 and 24x over ny equals 4, what is the value of n? The first thing I see when looking at this is that we already have x over y. So what we can do is multiply by the reciprocal of this guy. So we're going to multiply both sides by n over 24. That's going to cancel that out. So we can get x over y equals 4 times n over 24. And then we can cross simplify so that we get this answer here. X over y, equals n over 6. Then we can substitute in our value. Since x over y is 4, we can replace that with 4, multiply that over, so n is 24. A bowl contains 20 ounces of water. When the bowl is uncovered, the amount of water in the bowl decreases by 1 ounce every 4 days. If 9 ounces of water remain in this bowl, for how many days has it been uncovered? Since it is decreasing by a consistent amount, that means that it is a linear equation. So we're starting with 20 ounces of water. It is losing 1 ounce every 4 days. And then we'll write an x here, so we'll multiply that by the number of days. Now, we know that there are 9 ounces remaining, so we can just simply solve this equation. So we'll go ahead and subtract 20 from both sides to get negative 1/4 x equals negative 11. Then we'll multiply both sides by negative 4 to get our final answer of 44. If 9 times the quantity 4 minus 3x plus 2 equals 8 times the quantity of 4 minus 3x plus 18, what is the value of 4 minus 3x? So I'm going to go ahead and try to simplify this a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move this 2 onto the other side, and then I'm going to subtract 8 of the 4 minus 3x's onto this side as well. So if we have 9 of them minus 8 of them, we're going to have 1 left. So we're going to get a direct result. And then 18 minus 2 is 16. Our answer is D. A certain township consists of a 5-hectare industrial park and a 24-hectare neighborhood. The total number of trees in the township is 4529. The equation 5x plus 24y equals 4529 represents the situation. What is the best interpretation of x in this context? Well, let's take a look and see what 5 is. So it is a 5-hectare industrial park, and it's talking about the total number of trees. So that would be, let's take a look here. Yeah, that has to be the total number of trees in the industrial park, because 4529 is also the total number of trees. That means that you're going to have it consisting of trees that come from the industrial park and then trees that come from the neighborhood. So the answer is C. Which expression is equivalent to a to the 11 over 12ths, where a is positive? Whenever you have a rational exponent, the number on the bottom becomes the index of your radical, which is right here. But let's go ahead and see what this is going to be. So we can't immediately pick out our response yet because none of these they're not matching directly. So what this would end up being is the 12th root of a to the 11th. Okay, so initially I thought that maybe this one was going to be the answer, but it's not. So actually we can eliminate that. Now, if we look at our next several options, if we were to multiply this by 12 over 12, which is just a factor of 1, then we would get 132 over 144. So our answer is going to be B. The plots represent the distributions of values in data sets A and B. Which of the following statements is true? The median of data set A is equal to the median of data set B, or the standard deviation of set A is equal to the standard deviation of data set B. So I'm going to look at the standard deviation first. What the standard deviation says is that the distance away from the mean to each of the outer numbers is the same. Okay, another way that we can think about this is the spread of the data. So let's actually count how many dots are on this side and how many dots are on this side. If they're the same, then we know that they're going to be the same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Automatically, this is not right. So it can't be these two. It's either A or D. The median of data set A is equal to the median of data set B. Well, the median will come from lining up all of the numbers and then finding the middle number. So if we were to do this, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 16, 17. This one's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, also 17. Okay, so the middle number is going to be the, in this case, ninth number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's going to be 13. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. It's going to be 13. That one's equal, so the answer is A. A circle has center O and points R and S lie on the circle. In triangle ORS, the measure of angle ROS is 88 degrees. What is the measure of RSO in degrees? First thing, let's draw our circle with a center of O. Points R and S lie on the circle, and in triangle ORS, okay, the measure of ROS is 88, and it is asking us for RSO. So it is asking us for this side here. Okay. What we know about this is that the triangle, that the triangle that we are looking at has two radii. Okay, since this side and this side start from the center and they extend to the end of, or they extend to the outside of the circle, they're both going to be the same, which means that it is an isosceles triangle. So we can take 180 degrees in the total triangle, subtract 88 from that, which will be 92 degrees, and that's going to be split up over the two base angles, which will then be 46 degrees. The regular price of a shirt at a store is $11.70. The sale price of the shirt is 80% less than the regular price, and the sale price is 30% greater than the store's cost for the shirt. What was the store's cost in dollars for the shirt? The way that I like to do percentage discounts is maybe a little bit unconventional, but I think it's much easier to calculate this. Okay, if the shirt is 80% less than the regular price, then what you're paying, what you're actually paying out of pocket is 20% of the regular price. So we can take 11.70, multiply that by 0.2, and we'll get $2.34. So here we have $2.34 is 30% greater than the store's cost for the shirt. So that means when we have greater than, it's going to be 1.3 times the store's cost for the t-shirt. So we can go ahead and divide both sides by 1.3, and that result's going to be 1.8. So that was the store's cost in dollars for the t-shirt. A cube has an edge length of 68 inches. A solid sphere with a radius of 34 inches is inside the cube, such that the sphere touches the center of each face of the cube. To the nearest cubic inch, what is the volume of the space in the cube not taken up by the sphere? So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take the volume of the cube, subtract the volume of the sphere, and that's going to be the remaining amount. I'm going to do my best to make an illustration of this so you guys can see what's going on here. Okay, so I've tried to draw this out. Basically what this is saying is that we have the volume of the cube, which will be in this pink outline that I have here. Then we have the volume of the sphere, which I have in blue. And then everything that is yellow would be the remaining amount. So the volume of our cube is going to be 4/3 pi r cubed. And that is given to you on the formula sheet. Sorry, I said cube. That is the sphere formula. And then we have the volume of the cube formula, which is going to be side cubed here. So the radius is 34 and the edge length is 68. So this will be V equals 68 cubed. V equals 4/3 pi, and then radius is 34 cubed. So then we'll just go ahead and type this into Desmos and let's see what we get. For the cube, I got 314,432. And for the sphere, I am getting 164,636.21. Okay, so we're going to subtract these values and go ahead and get our answer. And I am getting 149,795.79, which would be A. Number 23, one of the equations in a system of two linear equations is given. The system has no solution. Which equation could be the second equation in the system? If a system has no solution, that means that you have parallel lines. So we're going to be looking for an equation with the same slope and a different y-intercept. So we're going to change all these into y-intercept, slope-intercept form. So if we add the 6x over on option A, we're going to get y equals 6x plus 18. That would have an infinite amount of solutions, so it's not A. If we move over the 6x to the other side on option B, we're going to get 6x plus 22, and that's our answer. Triangles PQR and LMN are graphed in the XY plane. Triangle PQR has vertices PQ and R at 4, 5, 4, 7, and 6, 5 respectively. Triangle LMN has vertices LMN at 4, 5, 4, 7 plus K and 6 plus K, 5 respectively, where K is a positive constant. If the measure of angle Q is T degrees, what is the measure of angle N? First things first, let's go ahead and draw this out. So all of our points are in quadrant 1. So I'll go ahead and draw in our X and Y lines here. All right, so we've got 4, 5. That's going to be P. We've got 4, 7. That's going to be Q. And we've got R at 6, 5. So here is our triangle. It is a right triangle. That's important to note. And let's just go ahead and figure out what these distances are. So we have 2 here, 2 here. So this side is going to be 2 radical 2, since these are all the same. Okay, we are going to have a 45, 45, 90 triangle here. So if we have triangle LMN with vertices at 4, 5, L is going to be at the point 4, 5. We know that M is going to be at 4. And then since K is a positive constant, we know that it has to be greater than 7. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of plot it here just temporarily, and let's see what that does. Okay, and then we have 6 plus K and 5. So we know that the Y value of our point N is going to be 5, which means that it's going to be along this line here, but it's going to be further than 6. So again, I'm going to temporarily just plot it there. And I'm going to call that N, point N. So if we were to add a positive constant, if we had, for instance, a 1 here and a 1 here, then that would make this a 3, distance of 3, distance of 3. And then this would be 3 radical 2 on the hypotenuse. Now, this would still be a 45, 45, 90 triangle. So let's figure out what they're trying to ask for here. So we can kind of work backwards. If we already know that this is a 45, 45, 90 triangle, we know that the measure of angle 2 is, I'm sorry, Q is 45 degrees. It's asking us for the measure of angle N, which we also know is going to be 45 degrees. But if we replace T in any of those, our value for N is going to be 45 degrees, and option C is the only one that that works with. It gives us our answer here. Number 25. For each real number r, which of the following points lies on the graph of each equation in the xy plane for the given system? First thing I want to point out is the relationship between these two lines. You can see that the relationship between 2 and 10 is a multiple of 5. This is also a multiple of 5, and this is also a multiple of 5. So these points, or these lines, are coinciding lines, which means that they are right on top of each other. There are infinitely many solutions. So what we have to do here, if we really only have to focus on one of the lines because they are the same. So I'm going to work with the top one because it has smaller numbers there. So I'm going to try to plug in our values for x and y and see if we get a true solution there. So what we are asking ourselves is, does this equal 7? So let's do some algebra here and figure this out. So 2r over 5 plus 14 plus, I guess that will be a minus. So we're going to do minus 3r over 5 plus 105. Does that equal 7? So 2/5 minus 3/5 will be negative 1 r/5. And 14 plus 105, that's going to be 119. So let's subtract our 119. Negative r over 5 equals negative 112. And then if we multiply both sides by negative 5, we're going to get positive 560. So here we actually got a result for r, and that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a value of the coordinate to give us a true solution. So option A is not it. Now we're going to go through and plug in option B and see if we can get a true solution here. So 2 times negative 3r over 2 plus 3 plus 7 halves plus 3 times r, does that equal 7? When we distribute this 2, it's going to go ahead and cancel out our denominators. So this is actually going to be a pretty simple equation. Our 3r's are going to cancel here, so you can see that 7 equals 7. That's a true solution. Our answer is B. In the given equation, C is a positive constant. Which of the following is one of the solutions to the given equation? So we have a rational expression, and we do have common denominators here and here. So what I'm going to do is move over this term onto the other side and write it as a single denominator. So x squared minus c squared over the square root of x squared minus c squared. Okay, now I can also tell that this is going to be a difference of squares here. And so is this. Going ahead and multiplying this over here, because we have to get our radical out of our denominator. This is going to be x squared minus c squared equals 39 times the radical of x squared minus c squared. We can go ahead and let's see here, divide both sides by 39, trying to isolate that radical. Now, if we were to square both sides, we're going to have x squared minus c squared, all squared, over 39 squared. That's going to equal x squared minus c squared. Now, what this turns out to be here, since it's a difference of squares, it's going to factor to x plus c, x minus c. And since both of those are squared, we need to apply the squareds here and here. So now let's go ahead and move our 39 back over to this side, and we're going to move this down here. We're just going to switch them. So we have x plus c squared, x minus c squared. And we can actually go ahead and factor the new denominator as well, because that's also a difference of squares. So here we're going to have our x minus c cancel out with one of those, our x plus c cancel out with one of those, and that's going to leave us with x plus c, x minus c equal to 39 squared. Now, since we know this is a difference of squares, this is going to FOIL into this format. We can go ahead and add over c squared to both sides because we're trying to solve for x here. And then we can take the square root. So our final answer is going to be, let's see here, it's going to be D. Whenever we take the square root, we can do a plus or minus here. Therefore, we have the positive version and also the negative version. And since we're given the negative version as an option, that's what it's going to be. Okay, we have arrived at the second module, last question. You're almost there. Thanks for hanging in there with me. Let's go ahead and get this one done. The quadratic function g models the depth in meters below the surface of the water of a seal t minutes after the seal entered the water during a dive. The function estimates that the seal reached its maximum depth of 302.4 meters 6 minutes after it entered the water and then reached the surface of the water 12 minutes after it entered the water. Based on the function, what was the estimated depth to the nearest meter of the seal 10 minutes after it entered the water? So this one we can go ahead and set it up in vertex form because it does give us the maximum depth. And in other words, that is the vertex. So first thing I want to do is explain how this is set up. So if we were to draw this out on an XY plane, basically what this is saying here is that the seal is starting out and it is let me go ahead and do that here. Okay. It is starting out on the water, and as it goes down, okay, in the water, we're increasing the depth. So this one, upon first glance, I was like, wait, why is it a downward facing parabola? And that's because this is the depth, and the depth is increasing. Okay, so this is the depth of the seal, and this is the time elapsed. Okay, so just want to point that out. The maximum depth occurs at 6 minutes and 302.4. Okay, so there's that. Now, the vertex form of a parabola looks like this, where HK is the vertex. So we can go ahead and apply this formula here. And it's asking us here, it says it entered the water and then reached the surface of the water 12 minutes after it entered the water, which is over here. So if this is 12 minutes, that's 12, 0. I can apply that in my formula and figure out what A is. So I can replace X with 12 and I can replace Y with 0. So we have 0 equals A times 12 minus 6 squared plus 302.4. When we subtract 302.4 from both sides, we're going to get negative 302.4 equals A, and then 12 minus 6 is 6. 6 squared is 36. When we divide both sides by 36, we are going to get negative 8.4. That indicates that this is a downward facing parabola. So we have y equals negative 8.4 times x minus 6 squared plus 302.4. Now we need to know what is the estimated depth 10 minutes after the seal enters the water. So we can replace x with 10 here and then just solve it. So we have y equals negative 8.4. 10 minus 6 is 4. 4 squared is 16 plus 302.4. So now when we plug this in, we're going to get y equals 168. And that is our final answer. So if this was helpful to you, I would love for you to subscribe. Take a look at some of my other videos on SAT and ACT prep. And the best way for you to support what I'm doing is to go ahead and share this with your friends if you found it helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.